So Beard! Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2. Now you gotta remember, this is the first time I'm watching this ever. I mean, what a step up from the first season. The list is almost too big to go down. You got new wardrobe, some people have beards, some cast members are gone, some are still around. We got a bunch of new faces. Old Dr. Perm, Lady Spock Worf, Theodore Rex, Bargain Bin Jerry Lewis, Bargain Bin Han Solo, Fleetwood Mackerel. Leprechauns and pots of gold. Overall, everything is just better. Oh God, no! So like I said, if you were gonna watch 5 episodes from this season, I'll give you the 5 to watch. Now these aren't necessarily my favorite episodes or the best episodes, but what I believe are the most essential episodes. And let me tell you, this season was a lot more difficult to choose than last season. I mean, last season it felt like there was 5 episodes to choose and that's about it. This season I actually had to make a list and kind of eliminate one by one, do the whole voting off style to get down to 5 episodes. So I think that says a lot. Before we get into it, I do want to talk about one thing. Another big cast change. This season we lost Dr. Crusher. She didn't die, she's just gone from the show. Now behind the scenes, turns out old Gates McFadden? However you say her name, got fired. Ooh. So they needed someone to fill the doctor role. So they bring in this new actress playing a new doctor, Dr. Pulaski. And this doctor is completely different from Beverly Crusher. She was a very well-written character, very well-acted character, gave a lot of new viewpoints. It's gonna be sad to see her go next season. I know Beverly Crusher comes back, and a part of me wishes that wasn't the case. I really liked Dr. Pulaski. And she's got this great relationship with Data. She kind of falls into the camp of, well, he's just a robot, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So, 5 episodes. The first episode I want to talk about is episode 3, Elementary Dear Data. And like I said last time, there's 2 types of episodes I'm really looking forward to seeing more of. One is a holodeck episode. I love what they did in the first season with the holodeck. And the second is Data episodes. I love when they focus on Data, and I couldn't wait to see more from that. And this episode, they take both of them and combine them. Mind power. And not only that, they mix in a little Sherlock Holmes. It's a friggin' cocktail of awesome. So the crew has a little downtime, and Geordi and Data decide to go into the holodeck and recreate a Sherlock Holmes mystery. Problem is, Data knows how to solve all the mysteries from the books. So technically, there's not a mystery he can't solve. And Dr. Pulaski brings this up, which kind of creates this challenge. And so Geordi programs the holodeck to come up with a brand new mystery and to give Data a rival worth of his supercomputer brain. But of course the holodeck creates a rival that's too good and creates, of course, the famous Sherlock Holmes arch nemesis, Moriarty. And Moriarty becomes self-aware that he's a holodeck creation. This is the beginning of some of the big ideas they really start exploring in this season. They really get into what it is to be self-aware and have a consciousness. Lofty stuff compared to season 1, and this is just the beginning. I don't want to spoil anything. For those who haven't seen it, go watch it. It's got a fantastic ending, and Geordi LeVar Burton, really started coming around this season for me. I always loved him in the first season. I always thought he was great, but this was the season that I really started taking notice and going, gosh, I like that guy. Butterfly in the sky, I can fly really high. I love LeVar Burton. The next episode I want to talk about is episode 8, Matter of Honor. What can I say? It's a Riker episode. I love Riker! After season 1, you know what I did? I went out and got this. A Riker action figure. Butterfly in the sky. So anyway, this episode, the Federation does this kind of exchange program, and Riker is selected to go work on a Klingon ship. And this episode very much is all about culture and assimilating and adapting to different cultures, the core of Star Trek. But we also know that Klingons aren't really the friendliest race in the universe. But Riker, who's awesome, of course, studies up, learns everything he can about Klingon culture so that when he goes over there, he's ready, and he knows they're going to test him. They're going to make him eat, weird Klingon food and just put him to the test and see if he's worthy of being a Klingon, because Klingon culture is all about honor. For someone to just come into their culture, you have to prove yourself. You have to gain that honor. And then the Enterprise brings on this alien who, that kid in class who, when the teacher would ask a question, he or she would always be the first to raise their hand, and you always hated that kid? That is the alien that comes on the Enterprise. And then they discover this bacteria that's got on the ship and is kind of eating it away, and then that same bacteria got on the Klingon ship, so then the Klingons think that the Enterprise is attacking it, some sort of secret attack. And then the Enterprise is like, no, we're not attacking you. And then the Klingons are like, we don't believe you. Riker, you gotta prove your worth. We gotta go to battle with the Enterprise. Oh, I love it. I love it. You didn't get nothing like that in season 1, I'll tell you that much. And I'm just gonna come out and say it. The best episode of this season is episode 9, Measure of a Man. I would love to debate anyone who disagrees with me. The Enterprise just can't catch a break. So this total tool bag from Starfleet comes aboard and wants to study Data. Data is the only successful, really, sentient android that exists, and it's on the Enterprise. And so he wants to find out what makes Data function and how they can replicate that and build more. But of course, to do that, he has to take Data apart. So then it becomes a question of, is Data just property, or is he a sentient being who can make his own decisions and lead his own life? Dare I say it? It's about slavery. It is. Behind this veil of a court trial of whether Data is property or not. It kind of reminds me of Amistad. Remember that? And Picard kind of plays the Matthew McConaughey role in this one. And when I say this season tackled some big ideas, this is the episode I'm talking about. This is hands down the best written episode of the season, the best thematic episode of the season, and probably the best acted episode of the season. I might be speaking in hyperbole, but I love this episode so much. And you gotta give it up to Brent Spiner. This guy is a genius. Now I'm just gushing. I'm just gushing. Then I want to talk about this episode. Episode 16, Q Who. Q returns again, that old rascally bastard. So Q is back, pestering the Enterprise like always. Last season, Picard and Q made a deal that Q was just gonna leave them alone. Well, did we really think that Q was gonna leave them alone? No! So he's back, and I'm glad he is, because I love these Q episodes. Q has this wonderful relationship with Picard, almost like a older brother, younger brother, where Picard's the younger brother, Q's the older brother that just keeps bugging him and won't leave him alone, albeit with much more dire consequences. So anyway, he's trying to convince Picard that the Enterprise needs him. And of course Picard's like, we don't need you, get out of here. So then what does Q do? Q hurls him way across the galaxy or universe or whatever, and they encounter for the first time the Borg. Butterfly. Borg. The Borg. Whoa. Is this race of like half biological, half mechanical beings that are all kind of part of a hive mind, a conscious collective. They fly around in this big cube spaceship that just looks like, robot parts all kind of assembled in a cube. So they meet up with the Enterprise, and it turns out they're after all of the Enterprise's technology. They don't care about the crew. In fact, the crew goes onto the Borg ship at one point, and it's like they're not even there. They're just like walking around, doing whatever. So then it comes down to, will Picard give in and tell Q that they need him, that the Enterprise needs Q? Another great Q episode. I can't wait to see more of this guy. Every time he pops up, it's really fun. But the Borg? what a threat and what a setup. I mean, you know they're coming back, and when they do, you know it's not gonna be good. Ugh! What another good episode. And finally, the last episode I want to talk about is episode 21, Peak Performance. This is just a good old-fashioned Star Trek episode, harkening back to the original series. I've seen a handful of episodes from the original series, and this feels very much in the vein of those episodes. So in this episode, the Enterprise is taking part in this War Games exercise, and they bring this dude on board, this alien, this like strategist, and it's the dude from Total Recall. Remember that guy? It's totally that guy. So anyway, he comes on board and he's gonna help Picard, and Riker takes control of this old busted up janky ship, and he brings like Worf and Geordi and Wesley aboard and some others. And this is just one of those Battle of Wits episode, and that's what I mean, harkening back to the original series, pitting the main characters against each other, albeit in a fun and friendly manner. Of course, though, not everything will go as it seems, and the Ferengi shows up and causes a bunch of trouble. Now, I haven't really talked about the Ferengi yet. They're the aliens with the big ears, but the Ferengi are all about greed, whereas the Vulcans are all about logic, or the Klingons are all about honor. The Ferengi are all about greed, and they're just a bunch of idiots. So they show up to cause a bunch of trouble, and it just makes for a fun, great episode. Picard versus Riker, who will win? Just a good old-fashioned throwdown. And those are my 5 episodes. So what are my final thoughts? Well, if the first season was in its infancy or toddler years, this is definitely the adolescent years. This season, the cast size feels right. You could almost feel like the writers were like, woo, we got one less person to worry about. We can kind of focus in on these characters. And I think it worked out for the better. So, way to go, Tasha Yar. But I think this season overall was kind of getting away from that old Star Trek and kind of ushering in a new, more sophisticated Star Trek. And of course, more beard is always better. So that's it, guys. What did you think? Did you disagree with me? Did you agree with me? I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments. And be sure to like this video because it makes me feel all good inside. And until next time, I will see you later.